What is up, fitness family? We are back. This is the start of the CrossFit Open 2025 version. It's been a while since we've hopped on a podcast and been a while since we've broadcasted anything. It's been a busy uh, meantime from January 1 all the way through now as we've tried to been getting our one-to-one clients ready, our group fitness clients ready, and everyone ready for this time of year. It's the Open, and it is finally here. A lot of changes with the CrossFit Games season. As many of you know, if you want to continue on to compete at the highest level, you got to get top 1% in the non-age group categories. And then within the age group categories, you got to get top 2%. And this is the beginning of that season. This is the beginning of the process to continue your journey. Now, the good news from an HQ perspective is that the global community at large that signs up for the Open, participates in all 3 weeks, is going to get an opportunity to have a reason to train later in the season. And that's going to be midsummer with the Affiliate Cup. And it's or not necessarily the Affiliate Cup, but the Community Cup maybe is what it's called. But the idea is, of course, you're going to get to compete within the categories that you qualify for out of these 3 weeks of the Open. So they're going to take this information, group us into percentile performance markers, and then we're going to get certain workouts that we're going to get to do and throw down again later in the summer, which I think is really cool, and an opportunity for everyone to have a reason to extend their focused training into the summer months, which of course has been something that at least I personally believe was lacking for a while. So nonetheless, I'm encouraged by that. I hope that you are too. But let's get to the nitty gritty. You're here because you know that I'm going to lay out and break down all my tips, tricks, and trades for 25.1. With that being said, 25.1 is a 15-minute AMRAP, 3 lateral burpees over the dumbbell, 3 dumbbell hang clean to overheads with 50 pounds for men and 35 for women in the RX division, and then a 30-foot walking lunge, 15 feet out and 15 feet back with no weight, hands by the sides. Now, the caveat to this workout specifically, or this test, is that the threes and the threes will continue to climb by threes each and every round, which means that you will do 3 lateral burpees over the bar, over the dumbbell, then 3 dumbbell hang clean and jerks, 30-foot walking lunge. Then you'll do 6 and 6, 30, 9 and 9, 30, 12 and 12, 30, 15 and 15, 30. You get the idea. You will continue in this range for 15 minutes. Everybody starts and everybody stops in the same time window. Now, if you're an affiliate owner, you got to make sure that you're minding the clock, minding time management, being able to make sure that your group is set up. But for these AMRAPs, it does make it logistically quite easy. Specifically, they've seemed to minimize the spread of this workout floor length, which is really nice. 15 feet is very manageable for a lot more affiliates, a lot more folks, even in the garage. I think even I could do this right here in my garage, which I love. But listen, this is a fun workout. It's a fun, very inclusive way to kick this thing off. I think that if you're a coach like me, this is where you really get an opportunity to sell people on this experience, get them signed up and get them bought in for 3 weeks to come, because this is a great way to kick it off. Now, for those of you that are trying to optimize your performance, take heart. This is why we are here. Now, I want to first start with laying out and helping an understanding at large for the way my mind works when I see a workout like this. I see a workout like this, and I recognize that for most people that have been following the TTRU, True Fitness, from truefitness.com, our program, the amount of limitations that are going to be obstacles here within this workout are very minimal. In fact, almost everyone in this workout is going to be limited by their ability to burpee. This is going to be a burpee workout, not just by capacity, but also cycle rate. If you guys tuned in to watch the 3 elites, which I would encourage you to, 4 elites, it was Mr. Froning there on the CrossFit floor. But if you tuned in to watch that, what you'll understand is that you saw Haley even get behind early, and it's not because of a lack of fitness. It's because of a lack of burpee cycle rate. You'll note, and I'll point that out in the video because I'm going to get here and show you guys in just a moment. So stay with me here if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening to this, feel free to join us and tune in on the YouTube channel as well. Simply because there's going to be some things that I cover there that you might want to see. But nonetheless, go back and watch the video. There's plenty to learn. With also, as you look at this, understand there's different ways to attack each movement. First and foremost, the fact that there aren't limiters means that you need to make sure that your breathing is primed and ready for this workout. Now, elite athletes this means for elites that you're going to need to feel primed, almost that you're on your complete second wind going into the workout from 3, 2, 1, go. So you need to feel like you're not breaking the seal in the middle of this. Although it's long, you're going to have to start fast. To be a top 1%er, this workout starts fast and stays fast. Now, if you're an everyday community member, you need to get your joints prepped. You need to get your engine revved. And then you can build an intensity as you go to get the best score possible, because a lot of everyday athletes are going to miscue the pacing and start too fast and then peter off. Not to say that that didn't happen just a little bit with some of the more advanced athletes, even in this, Haley, Roman specifically, but also those are the two taller athletes in this field that we watched the four go at CrossFit Mayhem. And so there was a bit of a punishment for them having to make a load travel a further distance. It did minimize their lunge steps throughout, but honestly, that didn't really play a factor as an advantage for them. So again, not many limiters. Your heart and your lungs are going to be a huge limiting factor for you. So make sure they're primed and ready. Now let's talk about movements specifically. Oh, by the way, there is also a warm-up that is ready for every athlete that follows our programming, that's right now following True Competitor, that's following any program. If you have all access, you'll find this also in the True Life, because it's going to be offered as the True 60 workout of the day for February 28th. So make sure that you tap in and use that if you need guidance or advice on how to prep and how to cool down from this thing. But from a videos perspective, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the burpee style. And so with that being said, 25.1 being laid out as it is, I am going to pull up an opportunity for us to actually see some of this stuff in the works as we saw it for the athletes. So notice I'm picking up on this video here where you guys are going to get to see let me see what you guys see on the screen. Okay, perfect. You guys are going to get to see the athletes start to take charge of this thing. So from the perspective of an execution, Boz just walked out of the frame saying 3, 2, 1, go. The party's getting started. Remember, it's a 15-minute AMRAP, right? But these athletes all exhibit high levels of elite fitness, and there's 600 people watching them. So yeah, it's a big adrenaline dump for the everyday athletes. You cannot be lulled into a pace or pulled into a pace that you can't sustain. For the advanced athletes, use this as an advantage to start a little bit more aggressively than you think you want to, and let yourself prove to yourself that you have the fitness to hold on to this thing, because it's going to happen right here in the burpees. So let's play this video. Let's watch them do their cycle rate. Early, they're all jumping a little bit higher, even Hatfield himself jumping a little higher than he needed to. Remember, and the judges did not hold them to a tremendously high standard here, but that first rep, especially if you're going to be turning in, submitting film for a reason, like a really good score here, stand up all the way with the dumbbell at your hip, then go into that first clean. Don't do a power clean into the clean and jerk. I think these athletes got away with that a little bit early. It's taken everybody between 4 to 5 steps to make the distance. And then, of course, we saw Roman come out quick here. But I want to take your attention right here to the middle of the screen. Look at Hatfield staying low. These guys remain, look at Roman to be more specific. Roman knows the lateral burpee is not a tall man's jam. It's not a tall man's move. So he stays really low to the dumbbell on his lateral jump, but also his torso stays parallel to the ground. It's a hinge at the hip, and he's never standing up all the way until it's time to actually grab onto the dumbbell and stand up or walk forward in the lunge. Hatfield does the same thing. I think Haley does a pretty good job of this as well. Roman not stepping, Hatfield not stepping. And there are times where Hatfield does start to step. But the thing that I want to bring to your attention here is that we do not have to have a very specific cadence with the dumbbell. And what I mean by that is that you don't have to switch hands. Some athletes started switching hands much earlier. Rich himself chose to switch hands the entire time. That's kind of like a vet move. I remember watching Rich do bar facing burpees and all these things throughout my year of careers watching him, and he tends to turn both ways on his burpee. He does things balanced. I mean, he's specifically at a point in his life now where he's less worried about beating these goons in this workout and just kind of making his body feel good and do the thing, put up a decent score for himself. And we know he got the fitness, so he's really not stressed much about that. So with that being said, if you're an everyday athlete and it's like, cool, I'm not trying to burn this down, I don't want one side of my back super flamed up from just holding on to one side, then hey, don't worry about it. Now you notice Roman right there even did a power clean into a jerk. They gave him the rep. Probably should have been a no rep. It's a hang, clean, and jerk. Stand it up all the way, then get into the movements. Now, with that being said, Roman's being diligent with his hand switching. He does switch. He's basically breaking the reps in half before he alternates. But I want you to notice, and we start to see this through the first couple minutes. I'm not going to go through this whole entire thing because that'd be a waste of time. But Roman starts aggressively. And I do believe, again, if you want to be in a top 1%, in your mind, you've got to feel like you're aggressive to start. You cannot build into this thing. But the cost for Roman is that he had several no reps on his burpees. And as this started to accumulate, you saw his demeanor and his body language change at some point within like that 6 to 8 minute window. And I don't know that I'll let the video play that long for you to see that. But the idea is to be mindful of this in your own execution. Don't get reps taken away from you because you're in a hurry. Be intentional, but be smooth. Be aggressive, but also be aware. Again, no rep by Roman there on the left of your screen. You see that. He just power cleans it. It's a hang, clean, and jerk. The judge should have made him stand to an open hip, then get the dumbbell rocking and rolling. Now, I'm not here to say, hey, that's bad on Roman or bad on Austin for doing that. No, that's, hey, whatever your judge lets you do, hey, get away with it. However, if you're about to submit some video and you think you're going to be in the top 1%, you better be doing it right, because you don't want to get docked reps and then be cost on time. I've seen athletes do this throughout all the qualifiers that have already taken place. French Throwdown, NorCal Classic qualifiers. We don't want these punishments through penalties. Do the movement right the first time. Now we're back to Haley. Haley's doing a great job here at not really emphasizing hip extension before she gets it to her shoulder. And then she's just doing a nice little push press overhead. Again, not a limiter for anyone in this group that watched this. Not going to be a limiter for most people. The big difference here where Haley got separation from the men is that you're going to notice, take a peek in the middle of the screen here, watch Austin, watch Roman. They hit, when their hands touch the ground, their body's going down. It's like their hands don't even slow them down. Their hands aren't even actually breaking them. They let the ground break them and accelerate them up into the next rep. Rich is a little bit more diligent with even staying lower in his hinge position if you look to the right. So see how low he stays to that dumbbell? It's a little shuffle hop. And see, there's that first no rep for Roman. He gets a couple more, and I believe that that's really where Hatfield takes advantage and never looks back. But you guys get the idea here. Really show the lockout. Again, not much to talk about. This can't be a hang snatch, so we're watching them. Hatfield late gets caught up because he's feeling good, and he tries to almost do a snatch and gets a no rep. Now, look at Haley over there at the top of your screen. I know you can hardly see her, but see her hands hit the ground, and then she literally decelerates her body as she worms down a little bit. This adds up tremendously. Right now, what you're watching, team, this is the only difference throughout every repetition in this workout. That's the difference between her and the men. Now, they're coming out a little bit more aggressive, maybe on the lunges, because they're almost like accelerating away from the ground. But to defend her, look at her cycle rate for the dumbbells. It wasn't much slower until she started alternating every repetition. Now, why did she do that? She might have started to do that in order to understand that she was starting to blow up a little bit. Maybe her back was bothering her. I have no idea, but I do know this, that even in the offseason, Haley Adams has one of the best engines in this entire sport. And that was something that Austin Hatfield needed to grow in. So this also shows you that this is a game of inches, right? The shorter athletes, and then you're going to see Rich also overcome Roman. Rich is shorter than Roman, right? Haley has longer legs, physically pound for pound, a little weaker than the male athletes. So the acceleration in some of her movements is a little slower too. But the bottom line is that, hey, inches matter. Look at how low he stays. Look at how efficient this is here, right? Like all these details matter. He's keeping his heart rate low. He's having good body language, great self-talk. Like all these things matter. No reps for Mr. Froning. He's made a whole career of this, of course. His will is indomitable. And then we're watching, on the other hand, him just slowly start to walk down Roman because of some no reps and opportunities here. And look at how significantly behind Rich is still at the top of your screen. And these men are already way out in front. But that changes here within the next 4 to 5 minutes. So all those things considered. Get no reps taken away. Switch hands if you need to on the dumbbells, but we know this workout is a burpee workout. Now, I want you to watch Austin Hatfield here as he wraps up these clean and jerks. See, he's about halving reps. He makes one transition, and then he's back to work. Dumbbell goes down, and then he's into his lunge steps. Notice how he gathers his feet in between every lunge step. I would suggest you do that to help paint a clear picture for your judge that you're extending the hip all the way. This is going to be big. You can't just stay low. Show the judge, be diligent. Don't waste time, though. You're in a rush to get back to the burpees. If you use the lunge as a means to recovery, of course, you're going to naturally feel that because you're upright and tall. So this is communication here with Roman and his judge. This is where Roman really got hurt. And it was because he didn't stand up the rep all the way to show the judge. Then there's a little bit of confusion. And then naturally, this brings down the morale for every athlete. So I'm going to go ahead and stop it here. You guys get the idea of what we're seeing. And that's the whole reason that I wanted to show you that, is because cycle rate matters. Burpees matter. Burpees are huge in this particular test, and they're going to make up most of the time that we spend here. With that being said, how do you do your burpees? You need to practice them beforehand. You need to be aware of how your hands, when they meet the ground, you're falling between them. You're not hands, then body. Yes, of course, there's going to be a hands then body tempo, but I don't want you resisting your body with your hands. Don't fight gravity, accept gravity. Then, whether you choose to step up or jump up your feet towards your hands, stay low and stay hinged and traverse the dumbbell. Think about it less as a jump, which is going to jar you and spike your heart rate, and more of a steady hop. Think light feet. Think crossover step as you go. Go back and watch Mr. Froning with his crossover step. Go watch him and see and wonder, why does he do that? Why is he doing that versus the jarring that I'm seeing from the other young men that jump and their both feet hit the ground at the exact same time? Well, there's a force absorption consideration that Rich makes. This could be totally subconscious. I think about this way because I'm a coach and I nerd out on all this stuff. Rich might not even think about it that way, but he knows this is what's most effective for me. But why is that? You got to wonder why. And the reason is because of the way he delicately receives the load as his body weight hits the ground. And then he almost, and it's hard to say it like this, but he crumples, he receives the ground with grace, but it's also the most efficient way to do it. So all those things considered, team. Lastly, I got to talk about the lunge. Okay. You want to be able to navigate the lunge and understand about how many steps it's going to take you per distance. Now, my advice is in the warm up, and I have this written in the true warm up, is that you walk the lunge in big steps. After you warm up, you walk it in big steps. See how few steps it could take you. Then after that, you do 30 feet out and back as fast as you can, but count them. And when you do it as fast as you can, I want you to be mindful of both step length and what you think might be sustainable as a cycle rate for the workout when you're actually breathing hard and you're thinking in your head, do I really want to be back to those burpees? Because this is where the battle begins. The reward is really going to happen when you turn from that first 15 feet and you don't pause and you don't wait. You extend your hip, you meet the standard, but then you're right back to working and you're like racing to get your hands back on the ground for those burpees. And that's honestly what you have to desire in this workout in order to have good success. Get to the burpees, get through the burpees, and pick up the dumbbell. You do that, you're going to start to have this smooth cadence and a rhythm. When you get to the dumbbell, it's going to feel like a kettlebell swing in a way. You're not going to want to pick it up, breathe through the reps, find yourself with a smooth, steady rhythm of that clean, which should feel like, again, a muscle clean into a push press is what I'm going to suggest for most people. If you're an everyday athlete and this load becomes a challenge, of course, hey, you might have to send the hip back. You might have to rebend the knees. You might have to actually jerk it overhead. And that's okay if you do. For those of you that want to be top 1 or 2%, it's going to be a muscle clean and do a push press. And it's going to be smooth. Your legs can be soft when it lands on your shoulders. So that way you're just jumping it right overhead, or not jumping it. Don't jump. There's already going to be enough jumping in this workout. And that's what's going to lead us. That's what's going to lead us. And now what you'll see here, okay, now what you're going to see here, and yeah, I want to lead with this, is that when you pace it right, the final 4 minutes in your mind, you will be able to lean in. And what I mean by lean in is just hold your pace, because it's not that you're going to accelerate and speed up, because the burpees, it's going to be a burpee workout. Again, how well can you clear the dumbbell, be smooth there, and navigate the other stuff? I would suggest making sure that you're squared away with a cadence you want to try to hold for the dumbbell, for the burpees, because that could be the separator of everything for everyone. Aside from the burpees, you might want to tape your thumb. If you feel like you want a hook grip and then link bigger sets together, this can save your grip. We know that when we have a big adrenaline dump, sometimes our hands do funny things, and we're all going to be fired up to do this workout. So be mindful of that. I'd tape the thumb and I'd use hook grip, especially if you're not going to be alternating every rep. And then with the lunges, be aggressive. Right? Be aggressive, because that's the easy place to kind of shut it down and be more conservative. And you can't be there. You can't afford it, because you're going to lunge a lot of times. There's going to be a lot of rounds, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 30. I mean, they lunge like 8 times. Right. And so you lose 2 to 3 seconds on every lunge 8 times. You do the math, 24 seconds. I'm 24 seconds ahead of you on the dumbbell hang clean and jerk at the end. I'm gassing you for at least 20 reps. Right? Maybe 18 reps, but they don't take more than like a second if you're really moving. And at the end, when you're in 90 seconds and you get to the dumbbell, that's going to be a freedom that you can just burn it down with. So with that being considered, seconds do matter this whole entire 15-minute test. All in all, team, I think this does have high repeatability. I think that you don't want to have to really repeat this one, but it's there as an option. If you have to, it's a pacing error typically. Some of you that are struggling with burpees in your development might need to actually do it twice just to ch- have the confidence that you'll need to keep the pace that you need to be competitive. Um, I think Hatfield will end up with one of the better scores as stuff is posted. I'd assume Roman might run this back and do it again. So with it being top 1% and us not knowing what the test is going to look like and how many scores we're going to get in 3 weeks, you're going to need to put a really good effort forward in this. So I'd say get focused, get a really good night's sleep, be ready to have very supple and loose chest and triceps and shoulders tomorrow because those are going to be important. Not enough to be a significant limiter, but it's going to be one of those tests that's going to demand a lot of your mental fortitude, which is why we all love and also hate the CrossFit Open. But I'm excited to be here. I think this is going to be something that I'll actually be able to do myself, even though my shoulder's been creating a little bit of problems. So I didn't know what the movements would look like or know that I'd be able to participate, but I'll at least be able to throw this thing down. Haven't done burpees in well over a month, so we'll see how that plays out. But nonetheless, please reach out if you have questions. Specifically, if you're one of our clients and you're following our program, you know how to get a hold of me. And if you're curious about it and you don't have a coach and you're wanting to get started, hey, check out this little link up here. You can get 7 days of our programming for free, all access. See how we program. There's never a better time to do some window shopping than now. Specifically, if you're worried about not being in the best shape for this and you wanted to show up better, or you wanted to show up more healthy, or you wanted to show up however, we've got programs for everyone. And a lot of our clients clearly love CrossFit. So that's why we're here. I'm going to be touching base with you guys every single week throughout the Open. And then I will have at least one show a week going forward through the spring and the summer months. So look forward to that stuff. Email us you can email me directly, Adrian at ttrufitness.com. If you have questions, if you need suggestions, we do a little bit of everything. So I'd love to help you wherever your journey is as a gym owner, affiliate owner, head coach, or participating athlete. So, yeah, team 25.1 is here. It's kind of crazy. This was done February 27th. I'm sure hopefully I'll get this posted as soon as possible for everybody. I know you're all very excited and also a little bit stressed. Get some good sleep, fuel up, and you'll perform at a high level. Listen, this is when you trust your training, right? You trust the things that you've been able to do, but not only that, building up to this moment, you trust that you'll show up now that the lights are bright and scores matter. Like show up big now. And it doesn't matter if you've been a little dinged up due to injury. It doesn't matter if you haven't been able to train the same way that you wanted to, because that's what a lot of these competitors are experiencing themselves right now. So have fun, trust the process, do your best. It'll be enough. And you know how it gets down. Keep rising.